Hello and welcome to the Moscow Raceway for free practice one ahead of this weekend's action in the Blancpain Sprint Series. My name is Jack Nichols, sitting here up in that grandstand on the left-hand side, up high in the commentary box overlooking this superb facility, and we've got an hour and 20 minutes followed by a 40-minute break, and then it'll be free practice two for another hour and 40 minutes. There you can see the air temperature 24.5 degrees, track temperature 43 degrees, so very pleasant conditions here in Russia. We're about 100 kilometers outside of the capital city of Moscow, and hopefully it's going to be a very entertaining free practice session. Here's a look at the circuit. 4 kilometers long, opened back in 2012, 14 corners, a really tight and technical circuit, but then you have that long back straight that gradually climbs uphill. As I say, 15 turns, 4 kilometers long, and it tends to provide some very entertaining racing. The Blancpain Sprint Series in its former guise as FIA GT came here back in 2012, and the qualifying race was won by Laurens Vanthoor and Stefan Ortelli, and it's Laurens Vanthoor who comes into this weekend leading the championship. He and Robin Freitz looking very strong after the Sprint Series season that we've had so far. They are comfortably clear at the top of the championship. In fact, they've got 68 points, whilst Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu for the BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil have 41 points. So it's a very big advantage for them, some 27 points already for Freitz and Vanthoor, but we've still got a long way to go. We're racing here in Moscow, then in September we head to the Algarve for the race around the Portimao circuit, which is always entertaining and doesn't actually suit the Audis that well. Then we've got a race in Misano in Italy before finishing off the season in Zandvoort later on. So in about 3 minutes time this free practice session will get underway, and then the action out on the circuit will commence. Here's a look at the championship standings. Actually, there you can see 68 points for Freitz and Vanthoor, 27 clear of Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito. Then you've got Ortelli and Riquelme third in the championship at the moment. Then Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch. Talking to Max Buch earlier, and he says this weekend is pretty vital in terms of the championship. They really need to get back on it now as we approach the halfway point of the season. And then we've got Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. They're down in 6th place in the standings. Meermanhoff and Winkelhock there in 7th. Christopher Mies and Enzo Edel want a better result here because they didn't finish last time out in Zolder. Marco Siegfried and Norbert Siedler down there in 9th place. Again, this could be a weekend that Ferrari could finally get the win that they deserve. Same could be said of Rob Bell and Kevin Estre there in 10th place. Dolby and Walkinshaw, all quick partnerships these, but it just hasn't come together for them in the opening 3 rounds of the season. So the engines are firing up, and in a couple of moments' time we will be having this action underway. There's Nick Katzberg and Albert von Turnen Taxis. It'll be Albert at the wheel by the looks of things as they head out, and Nick Katzberg racing in the World Touring Car Championship last weekend, and he tweeted that he was going to be racing here, and then Kevin Estre tweeted, oh well, you better get used to oversteer again then, after racing in the front wheel drive touring cars. That was at the Slovakia ring. You can see the cars making their way now down towards pit exit. Car 70 there is one of the 2 GT Russian team Viatis, and it's Alexei Karachev joined by Christoph Bouchou this weekend. He was with Bouchou and Karachev were joined up in Nagaro for the opening round. Then Bernd Schneider appeared for Brands Hatch and Zolder, but he can't race this weekend, Bernd Schneider, so Christoph Bouchou is back as we just wait for the clock to tick down, and then we'll be getting going. Just a couple of seconds away now from the start of this free practice session, and our first look at these GT cars heading out onto this 4-kilometer circuit. There is Mark Szulzicki and Nick Hammond's car. Not looking like they're set to go out just yet. Mark Szulzicki in his home race. It's not really his home race because he comes from Vladivostok, which is an 8-hour flight from here. But he's here in Russia, and he's been allowed to do it kind of as a present, really, from the Nissan guys. So there we go. Session begins, and they go out onto the circuit. 75 is first out. Marco Bononomi and Felice Salaquada. The cars filter their way down through turn 3. And out onto the circuit then for the first time. This is the run up to the very sharp left-hander at turn 7. Nissan makes its way out there as well. And there is 75, Marco Bononomi at the wheel, the Audi Le Mans racer, who hasn't quite got to grips with these lower downforce R8s. Although you wonder if he was with a WRT kind of team, whether that would be a little bit different. Feel free to get in touch during these next few hours using the hashtag Blancpain GT. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss, then feel free to get in touch as the cars go down the backstretch for the first time, rumbling the sound as they come past and down into the right-hander. That is 71, which is Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma as ever. Rumble across the line for the first time. So now down into the long right-hander of turn 3. And it's Marco Asma at the wheel of the 71 GT Russian Mercedes at the moment. Well, in fact, we've got most of the cars out there on the track. As Marco Asma now comes through the right-hander of 8, then up into this long left of 9. A little straight stretch down towards turn 10. That doubles back into this right-hander at turn 11, which is quite open and flowing before another tight left-hander at turn 12. Running nice and wide there, Marco Asma. One more left-hander at 13. Anti-clockwise circuit, this. And then out onto this incredibly long backstretch. That's the second timing line there that Marco Asma comes across now. The Estonian driver heading down towards the final left-hander. So let's see what our first representative lap time is, a 42.956, but I'm sure those times will drop. The 30-year-old Estonian. He's the only Estonian to test a Formula 1 car, is Marco Asma. Meanwhile, here is 73, the MRS Nissan, which at the moment is out in the hands of Craig Dolby. And it's the quickest car we've seen out there so far. As it comes down to the right-hander. Then you've got the other Nissan out there. Then we're looking back at Marco Asma, followed by 23, which is Mark Szulzicki, as he weaves his way through the lefts. Szulzicki, a winner of the Nissan GT Academy competition, the Russian version, and has looked very strong actually. Had some impressive drives and also impressive appearances at Le Mans. As the 84 Bentley gets wheeled back in. That is Max Buch's car, and it's Max Buch at the wheel. So have they Okay, so they have been out onto the circuit, done 2 laps, an out lap, and then an in lap. Lawrence found. This is 77 in the hands of Valdeno Brito, the BMW Team Brazil car. The 41-year-old from Campina Grande in Brazil. He's a race winner in the Brazilian Stock Car Series. But at the moment, as you can see, it's Frank Stippler who's quickest of anyone. And he's done a 33.4 in Sector 1. The Brazilians will be hoping to get back on track this weekend. They've had a very strong opening 3 rounds of the season so far. Teammate Sergio Jimenez has actually gone second quickest in the 0 Brazilian BMW. Although, just as I say that, the Attempto Porsche has jumped up into second place. The Pro-Am car. Which I don't actually seem to have on my entry list, so that's an interesting one from Attempto. But this is Valdeno Brito once again coming down towards the final turn through the left-hander, and the finish line is just there, and it's a 41.7, so he goes 5th quickest at the moment. Across the line behind is number 4, that is Frank Stippler. The man who's currently quickest of anyone, 1 minute 39.7 now, Stippler, so he's continuing to improve. Through this kind of tight double left at 4. It's only classified as 1 corner, but it's kind of 2. And it's a purple first sector then for Frank Stippler. The 2003 Porsche Super Cup champion, making his way now through the middle sector. 40 years old, from Cologne. He and James Nash haven't had the best of seasons so far. They're currently lying down in 12th place in the championship, a best finish of 6th in the main race at Nogaro. They didn't start their last race because of an accident at the start of the qualifying race in Zolder. Across the line goes Stippler, 39.285. So Stippler's the man on the mission at the moment. As once again, we look at the 70 GT Russian car. Currently in the hands of Christoph Buschu, who's the pro in that Pro-Am pairing. Down in 9th position at the moment. Stippler, Ortelli, Jimenez, the top 3. Then Dolby, Bononomi. Frank Stippler again is looking quick. Stefan Ortelli's just gone fastest of anyone in the middle sector too, so lap times continuing to come down, as they will over the next hour and 10 minutes. But meanwhile, Christoph Buschu hasn't made any progress at the moment in the 70. The Frenchman from Voiron in Isère, former Le Mans winner way back in 1993. He's had over 30 years of racing, Christophe Bouchut. He won Le Mans in the Peugeot 905, as I say, back in 93 with Eric Ellery and Jeff Brabham. Was third in the LMP2 class in 2011. Also raced in the GT1 World Championship as well a couple of years ago, so Bouchut, an experienced racer. Here's Szolzycki then, and was that a bit of bodywork coming off the Audi, or just a bit of turf coming up on the exit of the first corner? Couldn't quite make it out, but here comes Szolzycki down through 3. Now starting to climb the hill. He's got Marco Bononomi tucked right up behind him as Mark Szolzycki. Out onto the back straight. "25 years of age now, Mark Szolzycki. He's sharing that car with Nick Hammond. He was 5th in class at Le Mans last year with Alex Brundle and Jan Mardenborough. Was one of the LMP1 drivers this season at Le Mans in the ill-fated Nissan GTR LM Nismo. He was in with Sugio Matsuda and Lucas Ordóñez, and he completed 115 laps of the Le Mans 24-hour. Sergio Jimenez in the Zero BMW. Lewis Hamilton's teammate in Formula Renault UK back in 2003 when Lewis Hamilton won the title. Jimenez finished a little bit behind in the championship, but since then has gone on to win races in GP2 and also competed for A1GP, sorry, for Team Brazil in A1GP as well. We're on board with the Zero BMW now through the quick left-right flick. That's 7 and 8. Into 9, then to 10. Doubling back through the right-hander of 11. And starting to drop down the hill through 12. Little straight stretch into 13. Then one more corner and you're out on the back straight again. So far, we haven't seen the Rinaldi Ferrari, the Attempto McLaren, or the WRT Audi of Christopher Mies and Enzo Eid. Everyone else has at least been out onto the track, even if they haven't set a competitive lap time. That's coming into the pits is Sergio Jimenez. An abundance of 4th places so far this season for Jimenez and Cacabueno. They've had 4th places in 3 out of the 4 races they've entered. Here's Albert von Turn and Taxis into turn 1. Albert actually hasn't raced here before. He was in the GT1 World Championship when we came here a couple of years ago, but Albert didn't race because he had a big crash at Slovakia Ring the race beforehand, and that sort of saw him stay out of racing for 6 months or a year. So this is his first time here at the Moscow Raceway. .33.0 in Sector 1. Still Frank Stippler and Stefan Ortelli topping the times at the moment. Haven't seen much of our championship leaders. Laurens Vanthoor has done as much as everyone else, as many laps as everyone else, and is 9/10 down at the moment. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff's just jumped up to 4th quickest. That's a very good lap from Meyer-Melnoff. Turn and taps us down through the gears. Okay, that's why. Okay, so it's that's what's confused me, because it's 56th on the entry list and it's 54 on the circuit. So that's why I was a little bit confused. We've got Sergei Chukhanov and Ivan Samarin out there, and it's Samarin at the wheel at the moment. And we're also popping out of the pits. There is the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari, so good to see them. Marco Seefried and Norbert Seidler out on track. But here's the 54 Attempto Porsche. Currently 9th quickest at the moment. Taking an awful lot of grass there as he climbs up the hill, Samarin. The 33.3 in Sector 1. .26 years of old, 26 years of age, I should say, and he's actually from Moscow, Samarin. So this is the man for whom this is most the home circuit. Second in Formula Russia in 2005, two-time Formula 1600 Russia champion, and then second in Russian Formula 3 as well. Did a season in the FIA Formula 2 Championship in 2010. And ended up finishing 12th in that championship. Picked up a podium at Brands Hatch, which is a very impressive result. Championship that year won by Dean Stoneman. It was actually another Russian, Sergei Afanasyev, who finished 3rd in that championship. But this now is the 333 Ferrari out on the circuit. It's in the hands of Norbert Seidler at the moment. The car that was so unfortunate not to do well in Zolder, starting from 2nd on the grid. On board again with Seidler. Personal best in the first sector for Seidler, but that's to be expected considering he hasn't set a lap so far. Still, it's Frank Stippler who's the quickest man at the moment on a 1 minute 38.467. Good middle sector as well for Seidler as he gets on the brakes into the final turn. Not really bothering the apex. Comes across the line and it's a 42.699 for Seidler. The Austrian racer who is in his first race here in Moscow. Second in the 2011 Porsche Super Cup. His best result in kind of international motorsport, second to René Rast. Not a bad man to be second to, but there's our timings leader at the moment. Still Frank Stippler at the wheel. Really fast sequence of corners, up through 6 and then into 7, 8 and 9. .32.5 in sector 1, so slower than he has been before. But a lot of this is all just about race runs, race practice. Trying to dial in the setup as much as possible and get used to the circuit. Now Frank Stippler has raced here before, finished third back in 2012 for the WRT squad. That's when he was partnered with Edward Sandstrom. No, sorry, it was Ollie Jarvis. He was partnered with Ollie Jarvis in 2012. And so he and Ollie finished third here in both the qualifying race and the main race. So he'll be hoping for more good things this weekend. 57 minutes of free practice 1 to go. Who's going to pop up next coming out of the final corner? That's the big question. As we look at the start-finish straight, looks like no one, so we go back to the final corner. It's going to be 88, Albert von Turn Taxis in the Reiter Lamborghini, coming into the final turn. And Albert is currently 14th quickest at the moment. We've had 16 cars set lap times. And out there on the circuit now is Maximilian Buch in the 84 HTP Mercedes. New sponsor this weekend, so a new livery for the HTP Bentley, which is nice to see, a Bentley in something other than white. Former Blancpain Endurance Series champion, FIA GT3 European champion. In fact, it was here in 2012 that Max Buch and the HTP squad really kind of showed up the GT1 cars by racing with them and finishing in front of them when Buch was racing in a Mercedes SLS alongside Dominic Baumann. They ended up quicker than the team that actually won the championship that year, Mark Basseng and Marcus Winkelhock. As Buch winds his way through the long right-hander now. This is out the back, that's Vincent Abril on the left-hand side. And alongside him is a new driver this weekend, Max van Splunteren. He's the man with the balaclava on, just pulling on his overalls. Jules Simkowiak, the Dutchman in the 83 car, has had now 3 teammates so far this season. We had Tom Dillman out last time, and it's Max van Splunteren here. As Buch comes around the final corner. And across the line, where's this going to put him? 6th quickest at the moment, just under 8 tenths down on the Audi, but it's not all about ultimate lap times in this session, really. zero car. Jacob Bueno and Sergio Jimenez's machine firing up and out the pits very noisily. Here is the 83, which is currently in the hands of Jules Simkowiak. So it's an all-Dutch partnering in that 83 car this weekend. As the 54 Attempto Porsche comes back into the pits. So 2 cars from Attempto this weekend, but only 1 McLaren. Normally you have Philip Blazic and whoever he decides to put with him in the other 54 McLaren, but it's a 54 Porsche this weekend. Heading down the back stretch come the 2 Bentleys, roaring past. Fantastic sound from those Bentleys. Both of them dive into the pits. Looks as though, no, the WRT Audi decides to stay out in the end. And that is the number 3 car of Stefan Ortelli and Stefan Riquelme. 3rd in the championship at the moment. After a 1st and a 2nd in the opening round in Nogaro, but since then they haven't finished higher than 7th. And that's not a particularly good-looking McLaren. Certainly not one that's troubling the track at the moment. And they haven't been out at all. So whether they've got problems there with that McLaren, or they're just deciding not to run. There's also a black and white driving standards flag being held out. I can see out of the window at the final corner. And so there's a driving standards flag, and I think a number being held out with it, but I can't quite see it. So it's probably someone abusing the track limits somewhere out on circuit. This, though, is the car of and Albert von Turner Taxis has just gone quickest of anyone. 1 minute 38.366. Oh, Nick Katzberg's got in the car now, then, it seems. So Katzberg's taken over from Albert von Turner Taxis in the Reiter Engineering. But this is the number 1 car, which is in the hands of Laurens Vanthoor at the moment. And he's just done the best first sector of anyone. The almost unstoppable force of Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freins. They've won every single race they've started so far this season. They didn't compete in the opening race in Nogaro after crashing in the free practice session. It was qualifying, actually, wasn't it? It was qualifying. They went off and into the pit wall. So Vanthoor across the line. Is he going to go quicker? No, he's not. 6.5 tenths down on Nick Katzberg's fastest time, but still 5th quickest. And there is Albert von Turner Taxis. Across the line now comes the 6 Phoenix Audi. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff was at the wheel. Still no sign of the number 2 car either, Christopher Meese and Enzo Eade. So it's just them and the Kevin Estra, Rob Bell, Attempto McLaren. Those are the only 2 cars that haven't been out onto the circuit yet. I love that right kink at 6. It's proper fast, isn't it? As they come up through the left. Down into the left-hander now. The double left. Mega. Out onto the out onto the back straight. Then comes the 6 Phoenix Audi. Didn't finish the qualifying race in Nogaro. A best result of 4th in the qualifying race in Zolder. Under braking for the final corner. What sort of lap time are we going to see here? 1 minute 39.216. Into turn 2. Looks as though it's still Nicky Mount off at the wheel at the moment. Meanwhile, we have the number 2 Audi on circuit. Into turn 1. So Christopher Meese and Enzo Eid have made their way out onto the track. No, it's not, it's the number 4. There we go. And it's James Nash now at the wheel. So the number 2 car still in the pits. It's got those little fluorescent front winglets, which is, I thought, what the number 2 car had. But anyway, James Nash at the wheel. And there is Laurens Van Thorp helping Robin Freitz get strapped into the car. Robin Freitz won the first ever race here at the Moscow Raceway. The first event was in 2012, a Formula Renault 3.5 race, and Robin Freitz won it. So he's got good form here. As I say, Laurens Van Thorp won the qualifying race here in 2012, just a couple of months later in the FIA GT1 World Championship. So both of those drivers know this circuit well. Now here's the number 2. And seems to be too much. Oh, they actually, it looks like they're all looking in the back of it. So it doesn't look like that's great news at the moment for the WRT Audi squad. Number 4 Audi remains in 3rd place, so it's still the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini that's quickest of anyone, 1 minute 38.085. Second quickest is Stefan Otelli in the WRT Audi. Third quickest, James Nash. Fourth. Website, Blancpain-GT-Series.com/live. And you can also watch the live stream there. But I don't know why I'm telling you that, because you must be watching the live stream. So we've now got the 70 GT Russian Mercedes out on circuit. I think it's still... It might be Alexei Vasiliev at the wheel now in the 70 car, after Christoph Bouchou did the first run in that machine. Mercedes rumbling through the right-handers. Not a bad circuit for Mercedes, this. It's not one of their strongest, but that's kind of the thing with the Mercedes, is it's not that kind of strong or weak. The likes of the Nissan and the BMW tend to have circuits that suit it better or worse, but the Mercedes and the Audi tend to be pretty consistent. As the 70 GT Russian Mercedes gets on the brakes into the final turn. Throws it into the left-hander. Very late on the power. I think that is Alexei Vasiliev at the wheel. 2.1 seconds down now. And looks like they have got problems there at the back of the number 2 WRT car. Maybe electrical problems. Okay, so yeah, it certainly looks like it might be engine management issues, because we've got an ECU there. after this session, we'll hopefully in between the two sessions, we'll go and find out what exactly the problem was, or is, depending on what stage they are in terms of fixing it. Here's 71, the Marco Asma and Alexei Vasiliev car. So my apologies, the 70 car is Alexei Karachev. So that yellow 70 car we were seeing earlier on was Alexei Karachev. Here we've still got Marco Asma at the wheel. Over the crest of the hill, and I think it's in the middle of saying how he was the only Estonian to ever test a Formula 1 car, Marco Asma, when he drove a Williams Formula 1 car back in 2003. And that was after just half a season of car racing in British Formula Ford. Marco Asma's father, Toivo Asma, was Estonian Minister of Regional Affairs for 4 years as well. Former Formula Baltic champion, Marco Asma. And actually finished second in the Formula Ford Festival back in 2003 before going on to win the British Formula 3 Championship in 2007 with the high-tech team. And beat Marco Engel that season. Stephen Jelly finished third in the championship, and Sam Bird fourth in that British F3 Championship. There you can see the work going on the back of the number 2 car. But it was a commanding season for Marco Asma in British F3. He won 4 races in a row in the opening 5. That was back when the series went to Bucharest and raced at Bucharest. Not good news at all at the back of the number 2 WRT Audi, is it, for Enzo Eid and Christopher Mies. And there is Christopher Mies, the man who started his career racing in the German Toyota Yaris Cup. Currently 10th quickest at the moment, 1.2 seconds down on Nick Katzberg's quickest time. Great sound though from the Ferrari, isn't it, as it hurtles past. And at the moment it's Marco Seefried at the wheel. As he comes into turn 1. This car won the opening Blancpain race of the season in, oh no, that was the second, wasn't it, in Monza, the Blancpain Endurance season. Rinat Salikov and Marco Seefried winning that particular race. "39-year-old German Marco Seefried from Eutingen. He's won the 24 Hours of Nürburgring in the past, never the overall victory, but class victories in SP8 and SP7. Started his racing career back in the early 90s in Formula Koenig in Germany. Little single-seater championship. And his first season of racing, actually, he was racing with the likes of Jörg Bergmeister and Dirk Muller, who finished first and second in the series that year. That was the kind of early mid-90s. Plenty of years in the Porsche Super Cup and Porsche Carrera Cup. great to see him running strongly here, Marco Seefried. Very quick racer. Hasn't quite had the sort of career that his speed would merit. And there is Christopher Mies. As I say, didn't win the Toyota Yaris Cup in his first season of racing. I think he finished 5th or 6th in the championship that year. Then he went on to compete in FIA GT3 back in 2009, where he won the championship. Blancpain Endurance Series champion in 2012. He's won the Bathurst 12-hour twice and won the Nürburgring 24-hour earlier on this season as well. And it looks as though he's finally going to get in the car and get out on circuit. And off has gone Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. I think that's at turn 2. And I'm not quite sure how he's managed to do that, because he's kind of pointing the wrong way from the way that you'd expect him to be if he'd have spun. So, see what happens for Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. He's managed to get it into reverse. Now he's got to get it back into first gear. Near it crunching in. And there he goes. Back onto the circuit. Didn't quite make it to the gravel, so shouldn't be too much of a drama. As there is the number 2 WRT Audi about to head out onto the track. Is the Nissan. Well, one of 2 Nissans this weekend. Craig Dolby at the wheel. In the 73 car that's looked quick at times so far this season, but they haven't really managed to put together the results that their speed merits. A podium finish in the opening race of the season at, opening race of the weekend at Brands Hatch, but they didn't actually manage to even get on the podium because that was only after a later disqualification. But Craig Dolby, a mighty fast racer, 27-year-old from Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire. And there is the number 2 car getting ready to head back out onto the track. So the number 2 of Christopher Mies heads to the circuit. And there's a spin for Stefan Rakelmi. So that's Rakelmi recovering. I think that's out on the far end of the circuit. Kind of turns 10 and 11, that sort of area. But Rakelmi gets it back up and going again. And there he is, coming out of the final corner now. His teammate Stefan Otelli has had a very quick lap time. Here's a look at the replay. Well, that's him just getting going again, laying down some black tyre marks and getting back on his way. There's the 23 Nissan. Which is now in the hands of Nick Hammond. It's going to be his first sprint race, Nick Hammond. He's done a couple of the endurance events, but this is his first sprint race. And he comes into the pits. Alexei Kadachev and Christoph Bouchou staying out there in the number 70 GT Russian Mercedes SLS. Across the line they come. And here comes the 83 Bentley out of the final turn now. In a nice little queue of cars, so it's Bentley, Audi. And at the moment at the wheel of the 83 is Max van Splunteren. making his first appearance in the Blancpain Sprint Series, and it's his first Bentley appearance as well, as the 23 Nissan is back in the pits. But only 19 years old, Max van Splunteren, born in 1996. Blimey. Just mainly Formula Ford racing so far. Third in the Dutch Formula Ford Championship in 2012. As they come through the left-hander. The latest in a long list of Van Splunterens that we've seen racing. And Paul van Splunteren, who formerly raced in well, many GT series in the past, and he was actually the runner-up in FIA GT3 European Championship in 2010, was Paul van Splunteren. But Max, meanwhile, is out on circuit, currently 14th quickest, and this is the first time that Max has driven cars of this note, really. He's done a bit of Bell Car, a bit of European Le Mans series, but that's kind of it. Certainly in anything quite this competitive, it's his first time. Christopher Mies out there then on the track. See whether that... I mean, he's kept pace with Van Splunteren in front, but he's not exactly rocketing along. But hopefully everything's up to speed and all running okay in that WRT R8. So they wind their way around through the double right. All starting to queue up behind Van Splunteren now. Christopher Mies into the left at 13. I know that's earlier on the track, isn't it? No, that was 13 and 14. Now they're coming down to the final corner. Not really using all of the road there, Van Splunteren. But we've got the running clock on Christopher Mies, who does a 1 minute 39.454. So the best time he's managed so far. But to put it into some perspective, the number 2 car has done 3 laps now. I think that was the end of his 4th lap. Whereas the other drivers have done sort of 10, 11, 12 laps. This is Nick Katzberg. Another Dutch racer from Amersfoort. 27-year-old. Who was the Dutch Formula Ford champion back in 2006. European Megane Trophy champion as well, before stepping up into the FIA GT1 World Championship with the Nissan Nismo squad. And he moves out of the way to allow the 75 car of Philippe Salaquada through. Actually, by the looks of the helmet, it might be Marco Bononomi still at the wheel in that 75 ISR Audi. Out onto the back straight. Across the line, and it's a 1 minute 40.239. So the order still at the moment Quickest man we've seen is Nick Katzberg in that 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. 3.5 tenths quicker than Stefan Ortelli in the number 3 WRT Audi. Then it's Frank Stippler was third quickest. Fourth for Laurent Spanthor, fifth for Sergio Jimenez. And this is the car with Sergio Jimenez at the wheel. Gets handed over to Caca Bueno, and that's the other one. Attila Abreu, the 28-year-old from Sorocaba. He was actually second to Sebastian Vettel in Formula BMW ADAC back in 2004. Vettel won the championship, Attila Abreu second, Sebastian Buemi third. So real talent, Attila Abreu. He was also second in the Brazilian Stock Car Series last year. It was Rubens Barrichello who won that series. And a lot of the Brazilians we have here in the series are successful over in the V8 stock cars. Caca Bueno, 5 times champion over there. And Bueno currently second in the championship at the moment. Abreu throws it around this 4-kilometer Moscow raceway. Less than half an hour to go. That BMW is still one of the best sounding of the GT3 cars, no doubt about that. On the brakes into the final turn. And out across the line, Attila Abreu. And it's 1 minute 40.5. Caca Bueno on the right. No, it's not. That was that was Valdeno Brito. My apologies. As we go back on board with Sergio Jimenez. The right kink at 5 and then this one at 6. Up towards 7. Particularly strong for Sergio Jimenez, but that's what these sessions are for. And that's actually Sergio Jimenez there on the right-hand side, isn't it? So it must be Caca Bueno in the car at the moment. I'm pretty sure that's the back of Sergio Jimenez's head there. Here's a look at the replay. Oh, back end got all out of shape on the way in and just had to skip across and resume. Unusual to see the BMW behaving like that. Brazilians looking for a strong weekend here. They think it'll be reasonably good for them because there's just one long back straight. The start-finish straight here isn't too long. And there's the McLaren out on circuit. Fantastic. Kevin Estre and Rob Bell in the Attempto Racing 650S have made it out onto the track. Despite whatever issues seem to be that have stopped them running in the opening 55 minutes. So across the line, and it's 18th place at the moment for the 55, but expected to climb up the order a little bit more. It's Rob Bell, the man from Newcastle, who's at the wheel of that kind of slightly different liveried McLaren this weekend. It's got a bit more to it. He actually was in Formula Renault as well, along with Sergio Jimenez and Lewis Hamilton. In 2002, Rob Bell finished 5th in the Formula Renault 2-litre championship, while Lewis Hamilton finished 3rd. But at that point, Rob Bell was 24 years old, Hamilton just 18, so they were very different stages in their career now. And Bell a little bit later getting into it all compared to Hamilton. Again, just kicking up the dust on the inside there, Christopher Mies. You can see the standings down at the bottom. Had all 18 cars out now to set a lap time. Mies and Bell running nose to tail on the circuit now. Mies starting to pull away, if anything, at the moment. So it looks as though he's in a slightly quicker phase at the moment. On the brakes comes Nick Hammond, the latest winner of the Nissan GT Academy, and currently down in 16th position in that Nissan. At the moment, the Nissan's not looking particularly strong, but we're only sort of an hour into our running here this weekend. Still got another free practice session a little bit later on, and then qualifying and 2 races to come. All of that tomorrow. Climbing the hill as out goes the other Nissan now, with Sean Walkinshaw at the wheel, I presume. Wait and see when the transponders update, but thought Sean Walkinshaw will take over after a lot of running from Craig Dolby. But here is Nick Hammond, about 4 tenths down in Sector 1 on the best times out there, but might be running with more fuel. Coming up behind the Attempto Racing Porsche, which is now in the hands of Sergei Chukhanov, the Ukrainian driver. Down the back straight into the final turn on the circuit. Two seconds down that time through from Nick Hammond, but as I say, he's not running at qualifying pace. Now, ooh, there's a bit of an off for Max van Splunteren. Keeps it together, but we've seen that corner catch people out a couple of times now. Bob Neville on the pit wall there. The boss of the RJN Nissan crew. Delighted for them to get their first victory in the Blancpain GT Series. Last time out, Paul Ricard in the endurance race, the 6 hours of Paul Ricard. So of all the ones to win, I mean, apart from Spa, it was pretty tough. Here's Stefan Rakelmi. 20 minutes to go in free practice 1 here. Ahead of round 4 of the Blancpain Sprint Series of 2015. Into the final corner comes Riquelme, looking for the line. Here it comes now. The kind of final corner and first corner remind me a lot of Istanbul. They feel very similar. That kind of little double left stretch. Through then comes the Porsche. Next through at the final turn, we're going to have the Audi. Well, that's the Rinaldi Ferrari out there on track now. The green 33. On board we go. At the moment, I think it's Norbert Siedler back at the wheel now, and it's a personal best in Sector 1, so Siedler starting to push the Austrian driver. Out of the final corner. Are we going to see an improvement? Second quickest for Norbert Siedler. Good lap from the Rinaldi team. Moving them up towards the front of the order. As we go on board with Siedler into 2, the little left kink. Before we now go into the long right-hander of 3. Caught up behind the Audi in front. Little dart to the inside and through we go. Now dropping down through 4, 5. And then this right-hander at 6. Shifting up just as he got to the apex there. Back end a little lively under braking for 7 and 8. And then 9, we drop down the hill into 10. Not particularly smooth on the wheel is old Norby. Swinging it down through 12, then into 13. Second gear you can see there on the dash. Out of it pulls third, and then onto this long back stretch. Just keeping an eye out for the braking point. And he's coming into the pits. Again, getting into that pit lane is going to be vital in the race. Marco Seefried, teammate of Norbert Siedler. Waiting for, well, his turn in the car, although with 17 minutes to go. Looks like he's going to get much more time in the car in this session anyway. Doesn't look particularly suited and booted. Number 1 now is in the hands of Robin Freintz. The championship leaders. And currently quickest of anyone, 1 minute 38.483, set earlier, or no, that's just been set recently actually, hasn't it? No, they are still 5th. Sorry, my apologies, it was their car number that caught me out there. So currently 5th quickest. Freintz coming down into the final turn. Still only 23 years old, Robin Freintz, the man from Maastricht. 2011 Formula Renault 2-litre champion. Then in his that was in his first season, and then in his first season of Formula Renault 3.5, he won the title as well in 2012. Test driver for both Sauber and Caterham, but just afflicted by money issues, really, Robin Freintz. No doubt that he is and was one of the biggest single-seater talents around. But if you ain't got the cash, you ain't going to get the drive. And that's why we see so many young racers coming towards the Blancpain GT Series, but that's actually Laurence Vanthor at the wheel looking at the helmet. Just try and keep an eye out for it. I think that is Vanthor at the wheel now with the... Can't quite make it out, but it's the number 1 WRT Audi anyway, that's for sure. Out onto the back straight. Great sound on that flyby, isn't it? So they come down into the final turn now. And across the line, not going to challenge the Lamborghini, that's still the quickest of anyone. So we've got Lamborghini, Ferrari, Audi at the moment. That Ferrari, the Rinaldi Racing Machine's second quickest. The top 5 cars separated by 0.4 of a second. Ooh, round goes Sean Walkinshaw. Quite spectacularly as well, coming up through 8. Does very well to get it back on the straight and narrow again. So as ever, pushing hard. Oh, it says it's Craig Dolby at the wheel actually, so it's Dolby who's had the spin, and then looks like he's going to come into the pits as he pulls to the left-hand side down the back straight. So maybe he feels there's a... Oh no, maybe he was just getting out of the way of number 4 WRT Audi. So 13 minutes to go, all getting quite busy out there on the circuit. And it's looking a bit lively, isn't it, as he makes his way around. Let's see how he behaves through this right-hander this time around. Spun here last time, not too bad this time. There is a big old kind of bump on the apex of that corner. Not quite a bump, but a kind of a crest. Way Dolby's pushing, isn't he? Having fun out there. 33.0 in sector 1, so he's obviously looking to try and get the qualifying pace at the moment. And he's not going to be there or thereabouts in the middle sector. So let's have a look at it again. Into the left again. Was it just the back end getting away? Yeah, the back end goes. Lovely power slide. There's Sean Walkinshaw getting strapped in. He's going to be the next man to head out onto the circuit. The wheel of that Nissan, the Scottish driver. Obviously hears that the Nissan's coming in. The Nissan is in. So the changeover is going to happen now after Dolby obviously was told, right, you got 2 more laps, go for it. See what happens. And what happens is he did a lot of sliding. 10 minutes to go in free practice 1. Ahead of round 4 of the Blancpain Sprint Series. And this is Attila Abreu we're watching in the 77 BMW Team Brazil Z4, which is currently 12th quickest. What was that going through before? It sounded amazing. It was the Lamborghini, really roaring past as Attila Abreu decides to come into the pits. Top 14 cars covered by 1 second. So as always, incredibly competitive, incredibly tight in the Blancpain Sprint Series. We're on board again then with the Zero car, which is now in the hands of Caca Bueno, I think. Zero BMW is currently 7th quickest, quicker than their teammates at the moment. 77 is down in 12th position. Into the pits then comes Caca Bueno. So maybe then heading out for one last lap. We're on board with Norbert Siedler once again in the 333 Ferrari. Been into the pits, now back out again. And Siedler still the man lapping, still the man pushing. 2nd quickest at the moment, that 333 Ferrari. Change of tyres for the Zero BMW, then back out onto the track. Whoa, back end stepping out there for Norbert Siedler. Kept it together quite nicely. But it looks like he's pushing. 6/10ths down after the middle sector though. As we go on board into the final turn. Well, into the pit lane to be more precise. The Austrian driver looks for his garage, finds it, swings it in, and they're going to push it back in. The Reiter Engineering Lamborghini out there on track. Onto the back straight. At the wheel now is still Albert von Ten Taxis, I think. Through the final corner. And on to start a lap, flying it into turn 1. Then the turn 2 kink before they drop down into this long, long right-hander at 3. Only 3/10ths down in sector 1. And there in the garage is Nick Katzberg watching on. As the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini comes down towards the final corner again. Hans Reiter there, and in charge of the Reiter squad. Possibly having a look at the timings on the Blancpain app. 3.5 minutes to go. Maxi Book out there on circuit now. And a little queue of cars. Kevin Estre has taken over now at the wheel of that McLaren. So Estre, followed by Ivan Samarin in the Porsche. Then the number 1 WRC Audi further back. Championship leading car, Lawrence Van Thor and Robin Freitz. There are the standings at the moment. Still the 88 Lamborghini quickest of anyone. And it's Frank Stippler's time for the WRT Audi. 333 Ferrari is in third place. Sorry, I think I said they were second earlier on, but they are still third. Then it's the number 3 Ortelli Audi in fourth place. Then the number 1 Audi in fifth. And you got in sixth place 71. So a good lap there from the Pro-Am GT Russian team. That must have been Marco Asma who set that time. He's the pro in that pairing. Now a personal best in sector 1 for the 55 McLaren of Kevin Estre, down in sector 2 by half a second. That's to the current quickest time. So a minute and a half to go, so these guys will all be setting onto their final laps of the session. James Nash and Frank Stippler's WRT Audi. I think it's James Nash at the wheel at the moment. Into the final turn on this 1 minute 38 second lap, and it's a 1 minute 39.674 for James Nash. But he'll get one more lap to explore this circuit, and then they're only going to have 40 minutes in between this session and free practice 2. We'll be live streaming that as well, so make sure you join us for it. And this is very good from the Rinaldi Ferrari. Just one more corner to go now, and they are a fraction of a second up on the quickest time we've seen so far, set by Nick Katzberg in the 88 Lamborghini. Through the final corner, across the line. Is it going to be good enough for quickest in the session? Yes, by half a tenth of a second. That Rinaldi Ferrari is looking strong. Hans Reiter. The flag is out. And these guys all making their way back to the pit lane now. Quite sure what 88 Lambo's up to there, weaving around. Looked like he was trying to get temperature in his tyres for one more run, but the checker flag is already out, session's already finished. With Albert von Turner Texas. I think Nick Katzberg was lining up for one more hot lap, but timed it wrong. And yeah, von Turner Texas not looking like things went quite the car's now streaming across the line. And here is Nick Katzberg. Now he's already crossed the line, so I think the session's over for him. He still looks like he's going at it a bit, doesn't he? What sort of speed he can get out of that 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. Down the back stretch towards the final turn, and he's going to be coming into the pits this time around. So will the 73 Nissan behind. The Brazilian BMW coming in as well, but big story then is that number 1 WRT Audi down in 5th place. The Audis in general not looking uber strong here. Both outpaced by Lamborghini and Ferrari. As Albert von Turner Texas and Nick Katzberg practice a driver change. In fact, the whole Reiter team practiced a pit stop. Where time can be won and lost, and the Reiter team are very good at their pit stops. So here's a look at the classifications then. After free practice 1, a 38 dead for Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler sees them end the session quickest of anyone. Then you've got Audi's 3rd, 4th and 5th, Stippler, Ortelli and Van Thor, the men to set the lap times, with the 88 Lamborghini there in 2nd place. Then the first of the Mercedes in 6th, Marco Asma. Bueno and Jimenez 7th. Completing the top 10 is Abril and Buch, with Ivan Samarin. Good run from him in 11th. Bononomi and Salaquada completing the top 12. And then you've got 13th place for the 77 BMW Team Brazil car of Valdeno Breto and Attila Abreu. Rob Bell and Kevin Estra didn't get that much running in. They're only 14th. Quickest Walkinshaw and Dolby 15th. Max van Splunteren and Jules Zimkowiak in 16th place. Bushu, Karachev, Shositsky and Hammond completing our 18 runners. So 5 o'clock local time, free practice 2 will be getting underway. So here's a look back at that first free practice session, and it was the 88 Reiter Engineering car that went out in the early stages and was looking very, very quick. Marco Bononomi unable to quite set the lap times he would have wanted, but not too bad a run for them. BMW Team Brazil out there as well. And great to see the Attempto Porsche here, and Ivan Samarin actually ended up looking pretty quick, has to be said. Max van Splunteren had a few spins out there, but in general it was a good solid debut from the Dutchman. He's making his first appearance in the Blancpain series and his first appearance in a Bentley. There was a spin for Stefan Rakelmi, but he recovered to the track, and he and Stefan Ortelli ended the session pretty quick. The number 2 car here of Enzo Eid and Christopher Mees had a troubled free practice 1, missed the first sort of half an hour of the session with what looked like an ECU problem. but they finally managed to get back out onto the track. Christopher Mies managed to get out there and perform strongly. But it was the 88 car that was the pace setter. Nick Katzberg handing over then to Albert von Taxis, who did a lot of running in the middle part of the session. Sergio Jimenez and Caca Bueno looking quicker than their teammates at the moment. Apart from that little off for Caca Bueno, the back end got away from him on the way into that tight left-hander at 2, and he had to skip across the runoff area. No, actually that's down at turn 13 that Caca Bueno went off, just before the final corner. Badeno Brito there on the right-hand side watching on. But the BMW Team Brazil crew looking forward to this weekend, but that was the car that ended the session quickest, the 333 of Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. They ended the session quickest of all, and there's a great look back at them reversing it in. Craig Dolby was pushing hard in the closing stages, had a nice little 360 up at turn 8, and then lost the back end and had a nice drift at turn 13. So pushing nice and hard. Sean Walkinshaw got ready and took over for the final couple of moments, and it was second place for the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. So make sure you join us in about half an hour's time for free practice 2 here at Moscow Raceway.